welcome back to another section of Java called tutorials. In the previous tutorials, I made talk about for loops. In these tutorials, I'll be making more useful methods in for loops, how useful for loops can be. Now, in game development, something like a snake game or a break game, for loops are used to design the passage of the snake. In case the snake is walking through the boxes, it uses an x and y coordinates, and this is done using a for loop. Now, for a brick game, bricks are being arranged in something like a square or a rectangular form. So the bricks are then arranged in that way for the blocks to be hitting them or the ball or whatever. This is also done using a for loop. So in this video, I'll be creating for loops which will be drawing some simple shapes for us on the console, and I hope you'll be glad you can also do something similar to that. So without much talking, let's get started. So here I'm declaring a variable n which is assigned a value of 5, and it is responsible for taking care of the size of the shape we want to draw. So from there we declare our for loop, or we call our for loop, and we set the counter I to start from 0. Now I less than n and I plus plus. Then we come below, we print out a new line. Now this is only what will print, nothing will be inside, because the first or the outer loop is responsible for the number of rows that we will have. So if we should, let's say, put a value inside O, and let's run our application. So you can see that it's printed O for us in a column form, in a row. So this is the first row, this is the second row, third row, fourth row, and the fifth row. Now inside the rows, we'll be printing out different columns, and this will be taken care of by another loop. So let's look at that. So in the other loop, let's clean this away, we don't want this to be printed. So in the other loop, we set our counter to be j this time around, because I is what we are working in, and we can't use I anymore. So I also starting from 0, then j starting from 0, j less than n, and we have j plus plus. So let's come out here, and this time around we are going to use the print to prevent it from printing a new line. So we want it to be on the same line. Then we have a bracket here, then let's have something like the @ sign, and we bring a space. Now let's run this program before I come back and explain it properly. So you can see we have something like, this is a rectangle because we have 1 2 3 4 5 here, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, it's a square, but it looks like a rectangle. So this is what is happening here. We started from 0, so I is the number of column. So let's come down here. So the first column prints when the for loop iterates for the first time. It prints out everything here, and everything here is starting from 0 and ending at 5. So it prints out 5 here exactly for us. Then this loop is completed. Now when it comes back to iterate through the loop the second time again, which is on the second row, this loop will run the first time and print at the second time, print it again, third time, until it reaches end. Then this loop execution is complete. Then it comes back to the main mother loop again, or the parent loop. Then it prints another new line. Then inside a new line, it starts j from 0. So j from 0, it will print at, that's the first one. Then j, since j is less than n, it is going to continue for the second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, until it meets the requirement 5. Then the parent loop will run another time again until everything is completed. So this is a simple way to create a square using for loop in Java. Now let's move from this to another thing. So you're going to look at how to create a triangle in Java. Now let's close this. So for every loop, we will still need this same mother loop. This is the loop we use for everything, but the inner for loop is what will be changing from time to time. So for int j is equal to, so let's set j equal to I. And what this is doing is that we are initializing j depending on the number of times I will run. So if we should run the program for the first time, I will run 5 values, so our j will be 5. Then the next time I will run, it will reduce since it is only less than n, so it will run 4 times for the second time. So let me complete the code and you get a clear understanding of it. So int j is equal to I, then j is less than n. So you can see how I'm spacing the code to make it look more beautiful, and I would say professional as well. So if you want to look like a professional developer, try spacing your code in a very well indented way to prevent it from looking clumsy and complicated for reading. If you're a beginner, don't worry. When you get ahead, you can do everything properly. So system.out.print, don't forget to bring print and bring print line. It will make a mistake. So in this case, let's print star asterisk and bring some space in it. So let's run our project now. Beautiful. So what we are doing here is this. In the first case, I is responsible for running 5 values or 5 times. So for that 5 times, that's where we want our number of star to start. So we want it to start from 5 and end at 4. So it started by printing out the star for 5 times, since I will run 5 times. Now immediately I run 5 times, it will check if the end condition is met. It is still not met, so it will add 1 to it so that it will iterate the second time. But for the second time round, it will be just 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the number of times this will be printed on the second row. Now for the third time the for loop will run, it means we are left with 3 values to run. So it will run this for 3 times. So we have 1, 2, 3 here. Then for the fourth time, that means we have 2 left for it to run. So this will be printed depending on the number of I. So it will be 1, 2. Then for the last time I will run, that will be the last one. So the last one will be taken care of by this, and we end our code here. So this is how we print an upside down star or an upside down triangle. Now let's look at the way we can print it starting from 1 and not 5. So we are going to maintain our main loop here, and inside our main loop we'll have a child loop. So int j as well, sorry, is equal to, now this time around j is equal to 0. Now j is less than I and j plus plus. So in this case, don't forget to take off the line here and bring the star, then you bring space in it. So let's run our project now. Wonderful. So looking at this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. We don't want that to happen, so let's make some small adjustments here. Let's give this one this equal to, and let's change the parent to 1, and let's give this also equal to. So let's run it back for a perfect value. Exactly. So now we have our perfect value here. So you can see the star is starting from 1. The reason is because j here is initialized to 1, so that means the number of times the asterisk will be printed is 1. After printing the 1, it prints a space here, so you can see my highlighter is ending here. Then this loop is complete, then it will print out a new line for us, then the loop will iterate back. Now this time around, j will increase by 1, so the star will be printed twice. It happens till it reaches I, because I is 5, so it will be printing 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 till I is printed completely. Now let's try something completely different What if we want, so we have an upside down triangle and this normal triangle, we'll say a right angle triangle. The previous one was a right angle triangle, but it was upside down, and this one is the normal one. So let's jump ahead to look at printing this triangle, no more a right angle triangle, but something like equilateral or isosceles or scalene or whatever you call it. It's been a long time back in elementary school. So this is how we are going to do this one. So this time around, let's take off this. So we can have multiple for loops inside a for loop, either 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on what you're trying to do. So for int g is equal to 1 and j less than or equal to n and j plus plus. Now let's print out. And don't forget to take off the ln. So let's print out only a space. Now outside the for loop of j, let's print another for loop again. Now for this for loop, we'll use j. Since we are outside this j, we can use the j again. It's valid. Now for j equals, sorry, this place was supposed to be I, and this place should be 1. Now j less than or equal to I and j plus plus. So when we come here, we can now print the symbol we want to print. So let's print our star. Now let's run the code and I will explain how everything works. So we run into an error. This error is what I've been talking about, that don't forget taking off the ln here, else you'll draw something very horrible. Alright, we want what we want, we get what we want now. Now look at this. This is the parent loop. So when the parent loop runs for the first time, it is responsible for this whole line. Now for the first for loop inside, we want to print out a space for 5 times. So we have space printed from here. So you can see the cursor is blinking there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the space is complete. So this loop has completed running. It will jump out of this and come here. Now j is starting from 1, so it will print the star for 1. Then it ends it. Now I'll get another space. Then that space is responsible for this here. From there we can't get any other space. Then we jump to the next line. Now when we jump on the next line, it is due to this line of code here. Now in the next line, this is going to reduce to 4. So if you come down here, you see that when we count, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we meet this loop now. So I will now be 1, which is for the sorry, I will now be 2, because the first one was 1 and it will increase by 1, so it will be 2. So this is the first one, the space here, and the second one. Then this line is executed, whereby we move to the third line, and this time around this line here will be only 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we have our space again till the loop ends. So this is how we print, excuse me, I don't know how to call this triangle, either I will say an equilateral triangle or whatever. So let's assume we have a peak triangle. So let's move from here to look at another shape. What of if you want to enlarge this a bit? So the major and the main triangle is the first two I just talked about, the upside down and the normal one. So let's use those two to do something interesting here. So let me minimize this button and clear all these projects. So now let's create something new here. So for int j is equal to I, j less than or equal to n, and j plus plus. So don't forget, come back and clean your ln there. Now let's print out space only. Now let's come down here. We have another for loop again. So for int j equals 1, j less than or equal to I, and j plus plus. So in this case, we are going to print the @ sign. So don't forget to take off this here. So we are going to use the @ for this, or whatever they call it. So let's run the main method. So we still have what we created first, but this is not what we want. So to do that, we simply add another space here. So it is as sorry. So it is assumed that we have a value here and we have another value to here. So let's run our project now. So you can look at this. So this for loop here printed a triangle starting from 5 and ending at 1. Here, if you can see that it's starting from 5 and ending at 1. Then the second loop here is starting from 1 and ending at 5. So it gives us something like this. Now from here, we can print a normal standing triangle as we did first. So we can do that by jumping down here and creating a for loop. So for int j again, you can use any other value of your choice in exception of I to prevent an error, but I prefer j. So j is equal to 1 since we want it to start from here and end on 5. So j is equal to 1, j less than or equal to I, and j plus plus. So don't forget to come and take off this. Now we bring the brackets, then let's print our @ sign again. Now let's run this. Here we go. So you can see a beautiful triangle. So this one, we can see equilateral triangle is printed out on the console for us. But what if we wanted to have a peak? Then that means we have to reduce this to 4 so that this will come and join with this to give us this only as a peak. So let's take off this equal to sign here, then we take care of that simply. So you have mean. Alright guys, we have our triangle with a peak successfully run on our console for us. So this is how you can use for loop for some simple drawing tools in Java. It's not only for rectangle and for triangles. You can use it to do a lot of things. It is this same square and triangle I used to design some basic symbols and numbers. So you take a look at a simple program I just created, and I'll give it to you as an assignment, as a project. If you feel serious and encouraged by this, you can try it to create it and maybe send it to me through WhatsApp. Or if you need more help, you can comment and send me a WhatsApp message and I'll attend to you. So watch out and look at these projects. Alright, I'm back with the project. So this is a simple N I've designed, and I'll urge you to design this. If you're encouraged by the video and you want to do something awesome, feel free and play around with the for loop. If you run into an error, your PC is not going to crash. I will leave the sample source code in the description for you to look at it. So this is a little bit explanation here. So you can see you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from here up to here forms a rectangle. Now from here, 1 2 3 4 5 up to 1 2 3 4 5 forms a triangle, a normal right angle triangle on its own. Then from here, the space here is forming an upside down right angle triangle, but there I didn't place any value there, I just placed space there. Then we come back to have another rectangle at this side up to this side. The same thing happens when you come down here. So this is one for loop. It's having one parent for loop and the others in it are child for loops. Now here I have another rectangle here, then I have a triangle, normal triangle, then I have an upside down triangle, then I have a square for the last time. So this is a simple end loop. You can create it very simple, just some few lines of code. Let me see, I guess 35, but I'm not sure it's up to the 35 because you have spaces in it. So if you want to try something awesome, try and create this follow, and let's see who will be the first to comment with the solution in the comment section. Please, if you like this video, then hit or smash the like button and subscribe. Press on the notification bell for your support to keep this channel up and running. Thank you for this awesome video. See you in the next video.